The final thing that I will say is that you can write things down, but I have come to find that if you have no accountability, you might as well sink the ship right at the beginning. Hello, wonderful people. It is Storm Cecile here, your full-time creative and spoken word poet, and welcome back to the creative space. Now, this video is all about how not to lose steam to fulfill your 2025 goals. And this is for anybody that has reached that point of the year where they are starting to lose a bit of momentum. And so, look, I'm Big Sis. I'm here to help you out. I'm here to help you get the pens out, the goals rolling again, and to get excited about your goals. So join me as we unpack that in this segment. So if you are losing momentum, my tip for you is to create a mission statement. And the reason why I say creating a mission statement would be helpful is it will help you to recenter and realign yourself. So if you didn't create this at the beginning of the year, I encourage you to create one now. So let's sit down and we're gonna create one together. Now, the first thing that you wanna do is you wanna highlight what your overarching mission statement is. Is it that you want to be a lifelong learner? Is it that you want to say yes to adventure? Is it that you want to be intentional with your priorities? Is it that you want to be family centric? Whatever that mission statement is, you need to make sure that it is clear, concise, and specific, because this will inform the next step, which is the what's most important to you section or your values section. So once you've completed your overarching mission statement, don't forget to put the date at the top of this page, because you'll probably update this every year or at least every couple of months. You want to create the next section, which is the what is most important to you section. This can also be considered the value section. And this is important because values are essentially what you stand for. What do you believe in? What is most important to you? And where does that align in terms of the grand scheme of things? Is family most important to you? Is God most important to you? Is work most important to you? Whatever those things are, this is the section to really start thinking about what is important to you. So for me, I'll just highlight a couple of things that are important to me. The first thing is I deeply value creating. Creating is really important to me because it gives me a sense of life. Although I am a full-time creative, if I wasn't full-time and I was, for example, I was a stay-at-home mom, or I was just working a 9 to 5, I would want to create either way. Whether I'm creating poems or rugs or making pasta, I just love to create. So creating is an important value to me. So when I'm looking at my aspirations and goals for the rest of the year, this will be an important value to consider. Another thing that I value deeply is I value minimal stress. I value peace. And I value closure in whatever that may look like, whether that is challenges, disagreements, problems. This is an important value for me because I like to live my life where I don't feel like I am harboring any sense of pain or anger or resentment. Closure is really, really important to me. And so is peace. I really, really value peace. And so that is one of my values. I value minimal stress, peace, and closure. I want to commit to praying in the midst of stress and learning how to pray deeper. I aim to make the scope of all areas of my life this year deeper and not wider. And so that's an important value to me. I want to make sure that I am engaging with minimal stress. And sometimes that can't be prevented, but at least I know it's a value. A third example of a value for me is committed learning. Last year, what's interesting is on my mission statement, my value was lifelong learning, and I've transitioned that into committed learning. And this is because I want to make sure that whatever I'm learning, I'm doing with consistency. So for example, I'm learning piano this year. I'm only doing it once a week on a Saturday, just before I do some writing. And this is important for me because it may be the only time that I can fit it in, but it means that I'm at least being committed, and it is a low impact way of slowly attaining the goal of being able to hopefully play something of some sort of value by the end of the year. So once you have written down your values, the things that you care about deeply, you then want to move on to the micro goals. Now, I tend to work on my micro goals and my kind of overall goals together, but when it's written on my mission statement, I put my micro goals first, I put my routines that are helpful second, and then I put my kind of yearly goals right at the end. Now, in order to achieve your goals, you have your values and then you have your routines that are helpful. And so I've just written a couple of routines that are helpful in my life to maintain a sense of peace, number one, because that's an important value, but to also just make sure that I can keep up with the things that I want to achieve. For example, one of the helpful routines for me is I want to make sure that I go to bed at a reasonable time. Sometimes that doesn't happen, and I think I'm trying to focus on, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. So sometimes I can't make it to bed at 10, but my goal, as best as I can, is to maintain that 10 p.m. bedtime, because at the end of the day, if I can't do that, then the morning is going to be stressful. So let me try and attain that as best as I can, and that's a routine that's really helpful for me. Another routine that's been helpful for me to maintain learning the piano is to create a routine every Saturday to make sure that I can get that into my routine and make sure that I'm not forgetting it. And I think routine's really helpful, especially as somebody that is a creative and doing a lot of things. If you can create those micro routines in little spaces rather than trying to say, every single day I'm gonna play the piano, if I can do every Saturday, or if I can do it every Saturday I'm in the UK, then it doesn't feel as pressurizing to complete the goal. Another routine for me, and this is just strictly for my hobby, is I want to complete my HSK3 exam this year. I didn't finish this last year. It was one of the goals that I didn't complete, which I was disappointed about. But I realized the reason I didn't complete it is because I was relying on my in-person class to ensure that I was meeting my milestones. I've come to realize that because I travel so much, doing an in-person class just isn't practical, and it probably will not be practical this year either. So I've switched my learning onto an app, and my aim is to make sure that I am practicing on that app for 30 minutes just before bed. I think with language learning, it's one of the things or one of the skills that you can't just say, I'm going to learn this once a week, because you tend to regress in a language, unfortunately. So it's something that I need to keep up every single day and see if I can find little pockets in my day to engage with it, whether that is, I don't know, maybe I'm going to a store and I can switch the language to Mandarin, then I will try my best to do that. Or if I'm having a conversation with my friend and she speaks Mandarin, then I will try my best to engage in the conversation in Mandarin rather than just trying to engage in English, although I admit that can be quite difficult to do. But write some routines down on your mission statement. This can be really helpful so that you can figure out what you want your week roughly to look like. And again, this is not for perfection, this is for progress. So you may have to change this if it doesn't work the first time, and that's okay. You just keep working on it. Now, in terms of my overall goals, this is the third section. I like to separate them, or I like to separate my goals based on my values. And so my goals are broken into deeper, meaningful connections, health, hosting and having people over, and poetry and career. Those are the main sections. And I suppose there are some areas as well where they kind of blend into other areas, but you get the point. So for deeper meaningful connection, one of my goals this year is I would like to send postcards to my friends wherever I travel. As somebody who cannot be with their friends every other week or even once a month sometimes, I have been trying to find ways to connect with my friends even when I'm far away. Friendship is really important to me and I value friendship. So if friendship is important to me, but I can't always be around, then why not try and do something to show my friends that I care about them? So I would like to send postcards to my friends whenever I travel, and I do this by ensuring that as soon as I arrive at the airport, there is usually a shop somewhere in the airport where you can get a postcard. It may be a little bit more expensive, but trying to find a shop wherever you are that has a postcard can be quite difficult. but I have found that every time I go to the airport, there are always postcards, and there are usually always fridge magnets and things like that that you usually take away with you. So everywhere I land, I buy a postcard, and then at least I can send it to a couple of my friends to maintain connection. Another goal that I have is I want to spend less time on my phone. I have started to improve on this, but I realized that part of the challenge I had with spending so much time on my phone is because it's just always on my person. And so I've decided that when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I'm going to pray and spend at least the first hour of my day not being on my phone, so that I'm not dependent on it throughout the day. I've also started putting my phone in my work drawer so that it's not next to me by my bed. I think this has been really helpful also, because it means that the first thing that I am touching or looking for when I wake up is not going to be my phone. Thankfully, it's going to be my glasses. That's, I suppose, some of my meaningful connection goals. And for whatever that may be for you, just fill it out in whatever way may be helpful. You may have more of a focus on work goals, and so they may go first, or you may have more of an emphasis on travel, or you really value travel and you want to travel to more places. So put that as its own little section on your mission statement. The second area that I have is health. One of my health goals is to commit to exercise every day with my husband. This somewhat links with my connection goals, because it means that we have to engage with what we're doing every day, which is also really helpful. But it also means that I am prioritizing my health above other things, which I think is also important. I'm also doing another challenge with my friend at the same time, which is a running challenge 3 times a week. And I've been trying to make sure that I put that at the top of my day rather than at the bottom. For those of you that live in London, it gets really dark after about 4 or 5 p.m, especially in the winter. In the summer, the days can be really long, but in the winter, they're incredibly short. And so it's forced me to have to put the run at the front of my day rather than at the back, which means that naturally it's the first thing I think about when I wake up, if that is a run day. So that's really helpful as well. And one of my other goals is to take multivitamins every day, which so far so good actually. My next goal is about hosting people, and this is a difficult one because sometimes I'm not in the country, but I would like it to be that when I am in the country that there is at least something in the house to cook, or there is food available, so when people come over they're able to eat and enjoy. I'd also like to create our space into one that's more welcoming. One of them is this YouTube channel, but the other thing is I would love to release a poetry book. It is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and the reason why I feel that I've not really been able to engage in it as much is just because I've not been setting the time aside to do it. So I've committed some time in my schedule that is feasible and realistic to ensure that I can complete this goal. The final part of your mission statement, which I think is one of my favorite parts, is the micro goals section. And this essentially is breaking down those bigger goals into smaller chunks. So for me, I tend to write my micro goals for each quarter rather than for the whole year. And so I've done them for this first quarter, and then when I get to the second quarter, I will write the micro goals for that quarter. You want to make sure that these goals are clear and concise and things that you can fit into your everyday schedule. And I suppose they're like the smaller goals that build up to the greater whole, so to speak. Once you do this, it will be a lot easier to keep up the momentum. The final thing that I will say is that you can write things down, but I have come to find that if you have no accountability, you might as well sink the ship right at the beginning. So what I'm gonna say is, when you finish this, share it with somebody, whether that's your partner, whether that's a couple of friends. If you need to create this mission statement with a group and everybody write their own individual mission statements, that could be really, really helpful to stay on track with your goals and to make sure that everybody's accountable. I've come to find that even with the running that I'm doing each week, doing the exercise with my husband, making sure that I'm learning piano, having accountability is so important, because you know that that person is going to ask you and they're going to say, did you do that thing, da, 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 da? And it's going to be annoying and it's going to be frustrating, but in the end you're going to realize that those little increments, those little bits of encouragement and prodding along the way actually gets you to the goal in the end. So hopefully all of that has been helpful. If it has, please give this video a thumbs up and please subscribe to the channel. There is so much more to share with you, and hopefully you share it with whoever you know. Please do that because it takes a lot of time to make these videos. Anyway, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.